Hello everyone, I am not Andrea Mengucci, but it is competitive magic with the Carnies. So we just have me, Anthony Lee from Australia. We have Javier Dominguez from Spain
Hello, everyone.
and Simon Nielsen from Denmark.
Hi, hi.
So here we're recording after doing our previous episode, which was pretty heavy on strategy content, and that's the main thing that you guys come to us for. But apparently, a lot of you also enjoy stories and other things from the Pro Tour, the more human element, and that's something that Javier and Simon especially wanted to explore more of. So we decided to record this kind of bonus episode where we would go over that stuff. So here we are. Mengu had to go and do, I don't know, spaghetti things or recording things. I don't really remember. What? Was it not literally? I don't. I thought it might have been spaghetti. I'm not just saying that. I thought it was actually spaghetti things. But
No, I think yeah, he's going to do like spaghetti and recording. Yes, those are the two things.
I mean, that's Mangu spaghetti recording and magic cards from 1995 or whatever it is. So he's gone, but it's just the three of us. So we are free from his tyrannical rule, and we can say whatever we want. So
Yes,
Nice.
freedom.
Yeah, it's like holiday. Yay!
all right, what are we going to do with our newfound freedom? I guess we'll talk about stories from the PT. I guess. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and competitive magic. That's what we want to do. Yeah.
Let's do it. Obviously, the three of us were, on the same testing team, and we were, meeting up like a week before Declan submission, in some way in outer Netherlands.
Well, most like in the middle of nowhere.
Well, it was 20
actual
minutes.
Middle of nowhere.
It was 20 minutes out of Amsterdam. It's not like it was super far away, but it felt like it was.
It definitely felt like the middle of nowhere. So the issue is that we have like we were gonna need an Airbnb for like up to like 16 people, which is kind of difficult to find in the Netherlands because the houses aren't that big, and also we were kind of late on booking everything. So after like scouring for hours and hours trying to figure out like some sort of solution to this, I realized that like we don't actually need to be on Airbnb. We can just go to one of these like there's like a ton of these like vacation resorts all over like Northern Europe, which is basically like a collection of like beach houses that the idea is that like you take your family, you do your grocery shopping beforehand, just load up your car with everything, and then like go to this house for a week, and that's like where you stay. And so it's not really like meant that it's to be like it doesn't really need to be close to anything or be like easy to get food or easy access to whatnot, because like you already bring that from home and you're obviously driving in a car, so like you could go into town to like buy something you need. So they just have these like relatively, I wouldn't say remote locations because again they are like accessible by car. But if you're on foot, or like you just like flew in and don't have access to a car, well, they're like ends up being like kind of remote. So it was like half an hour north of Amsterdam, by the at the port of Amsterdam, like by the water, just a bunch of houses where we got like three houses that were like kind of like joined together in like a row. And yeah, so we had like those three houses, and like the thing that was separating them, there were like 3 stories each, and there was like a porch on all of them, like a balcony that was, and all the balconies were connected by there was like, it was like all balconies were connected, and they were just separated by like this waist high fence, which you could easily jump with a bit of a bit of acrobatics, which some team members were better at than others.
I am surrounded by people that were not very good at acrobatics, I'm afraid.
No, Anthony's very, very good
Simon.
at acrobatics. Yeah.
I tried to teach Simon, but it was
It was difficult to teach me, yeah. No, I have
Yeah.
stiff limbs. But yeah, regardless, we figured it out like with basically like that was our like main way of like going from like house to house was just like jumping this fence every time, and that just happened
Right,
like,
because
a lot.
it was so much easier, right? Like if you just jump from the second floor to the second floor, which is where most of the stuff happened, it's so much quicker than having to go downstairs and then cross to the other house and then go upstairs again, right? So we saved like literally like 3 minutes every time by just jumping between balconies. So why would you not do that? I mean, it just seems so obvious.
Yeah, like, can you imagine like the amount of jumping that was done? Like, hundreds of jumps. That's like 3,000 minutes.
So many calories.
That's like almost a year.
Did you just multiply 100 by 3 and get 3,000?
Simon math.
Simon math.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I was a bit reluctant to do that, but yeah, it was definitely optimal. And I think the only bad thing about three bad things about the house. One, it was so middle nowhere. There were a lot of bugs.
Oh yeah,
because Simon was half eaten. I don't know how you can forget about that, because he was like, all these mosquitoes decided to attack Simon, which was useful for the rest of us, but bad for poor Simon.
Yeah, like my arms were covered in like wounds from these bugs. Like I had like some sort of reaction to it, and it looked like I had some sort of like leprosy or whatever. Like it looked bad.
I was literally thinking that. I was like, I wonder if it's offensive if I say that. But yes, that is what you look like. Yes, it was.
And like at some point, like it just turned into a bunch of blisters, and my arms felt like bubble wrap, and that's what I had to like go into the PT with. As soon as we like went away from that house, it like that got way better immediately. So it was definitely like the very local mosquitoes in that area that that my body was not happy with.
They were also just really targeting you. Like I actually never got bitten by a single insect the entire time, and I was wondering like, what's wrong with me? Like, why do the bugs not like me? It's just weird. Like, I never had any issues with insects the whole time. So I don't know, something. The same thing happened when I stayed at Javier's house once. Like, Zen Takahashi got eaten alive by mosquitoes, and they all just ignored me. So apparently, mosquitoes do not like me. Maybe they're racist. I don't really know, but
protection from mosquitoes.
Maybe they're just sick of pretending.
Yeah, who knows?
Bugs are real.
But yeah, that was the house was very, when we got there. Well, the houses were they had some quirks to them as well. The best one was at the first house that we went into. We found what we would call a very open concept room, and we'll post a picture that we took of that room. But it was fascinatingly European, I'd say, in that it was a room. I don't know if you would call it an ensuite. Would you call it an ensuite? I don't know, because there was literally no separation between the bedroom and the bathroom. So, like, quite literally, like it was just it would be like if you just put a toilet and a bathroom and a bathtub and shower in your bedroom.
In your two-person bedroom, might I add?
Yeah, in a two-person bedroom, no less. Yeah, it was it was an interesting decision, but Ginky, Johnny Gutman, was very intelligent, and when he saw this room, he immediately claimed it for himself, realizing that no one else would want to take the room as well, so he would be able to have this two-person room for himself. Very smart.
And it was just, by the way, like it was just one of the rooms in just one of the apartments. So it was like out of 12 rooms, this was the only one that was like this, and like there was like plenty of like toilets, etc. like available to everyone else, but of course, being the first to arrive in the house, we get to do a bit of trolling and just take a picture of that room and just claim that like, yep, that's the only toilet in like all of the houses, and that this is how it's gonna be.
It was actually very interesting that every single bedroom, it was in fact the extreme opposite, and every single bedroom had its own bathroom, which was somewhat. I mean, I'm not complaining. That's very nice when there's a bathroom for every two people,
but an actual separated bathroom.
Yeah, actual separated bathroom. Yeah, it was actually pretty nice in that regard. But yeah, obviously, as soon as I got there, I had to tell everybody that was the only bathroom, and every house was like this, so we would all have to share a bathroom that was in someone's bedroom. But I think I'm kind of surprised. I didn't really think I was gonna be able to pull that off so successfully when I started. I mean, obviously, I saw it and started immediately messaging the group chats and trying to put Simon into a panic. And I didn't expect it to work. I thought by now that he might have learned, but
no, nope. I always trust you.
Nope.
I'm not like those bugs. But yeah, it's also like
also the bugs. Like there was also spiders. The 2 days I woke up to a spider just climbing my arm. Like what? There was a lot of spiders, at least in my room. My room.
I think
was
it was
in the
just
top,
your
and
room,
it was
honestly.
Well, maybe it wasn't a spider net. I don't know. There was
The spider
I
nest?
saw a lot of spiders. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of spiders in my room.
What was the other two things about the house, Javier?
Oh, well, the signal was not very good, actually. Internet and phone signal. Remember, like, I mean, it was like, yeah, internet's not great, but also phone internet.
Yeah,
only
it's kind of
worked in some
funny that we've
areas
been
in the
like,
house.
lately we've been playing like almost like exclusively on laptops with no paper cards in the testing house and just playing like Magic Online against each other. And this time, like, it was possible for some people to do it, but if you had too many people on the Wi-Fi, like, it just like didn't work. And so, much to like Javier's dismay, we had to play paper cards. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it
Javier
was
is very
actual
much a
paradise
paper
for
boomer.
some team members.
It was wild though. They even, it's not like the property really hid this, because they had like little signs inside the houses that told you the Wi-Fi password, but it literally said at the bottom that the Wi-Fi couldn't support many people at once, so please take this time to connect with each other offline. I was like, well, that's one way to that's one way to try to
didn't notice
downplay
that.
how
That's
awful
really funny.
Wi-Fi is. Are you kidding
We
me?
did connect with each other, though. Yeah, that was very connective. We played paper cards, which is the same
Yeah.
way we play in PPT, so that's good.
Oh, there was Nadu visited the house as well. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, like the first morning that like Carla and Stefan woke up to an actual like bird in the house, which relieved himself and then left. But I think after that moment we all knew that it was a sign and that we should definitely play the bird.
Yeah, it was not the first time that a bird would take a shit all over a bunch of Magic players, but
That happened a lot that tournament.
I think it did. Yeah. That bird ended up coming back, by the way. Like, it ended up like ripping through a trash bag or something. So that bird was really.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
what a lovely bird. It was also
Should ban the bird.
the third thing about the house was the access to food, which was questionable at best, especially because like the first day that we were there, we were like 6 people in the house, and like none of us had a driver's license except for Ginky, who was like 22, and so we tried for like a long time to rent a car at the airport and failed miserably, and so we just like had to like go to this place without a car, and it means like it was kind of like far away from everything, and we got there late, so there's like basically the only like help there is in this place is that there was like a small like kiosk, like small supermarket, which has like not supermarket in the sense that they would have like vegetables and whatnot, but you could like buy canned soup if you wanted to.
Convenience store.
And yeah, convenience store. And this this store was open from like 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. sometimes. And emphasis on sometimes, because there were days where it just wouldn't open at all. And there were other days, like the day we left, where I saw that Eli and Chris got in there, got something, and then like 5 minutes later, I walk up there, and then the door's closed, and the store's closed, and that's like so.
It was very strange.
Yeah, it was definitely very strange. And
It's not.
also we couldn't rely too much on that, both in terms of like the supply and also the reliability. But ordering food was also kind of a hassle. Like some of the like Uber Eats, for instance, like just like didn't work at all, because basically like because this resort was like some place where cars couldn't get into our specific house because there was like barriers. So like they kind of just had to go into like the general parking lot area, and then we would have to like communicate with them to like get our stuff from there. But figuring that out was kind of tricky. And the first night when we had ordered a bunch of pizzas, failed from the Uber Eats the first time, where they just like canceled the order after an hour, and then we tried to then Isaac put in an order, and then like after waiting like for 2 hours of that, we were all like like we were literally like thinking about how like our like ancestors have like gone without food for days, so like we can definitely survive like one night without dinner, but that was like where we were at. We were like, okay, well, I guess we're just not gonna be able to eat tonight, and then like after those 2 hours I was like, okay, walk up to Isaac like, can we like try and call them and we get contact to them, and turns out that like Isaac had forgotten to put his country code on the like on the order, so he just has like his phone number, but like they couldn't call it because it's an American number without the country code, and they didn't know which country it belonged to. So like they just like they got to a place with the pizzas, didn't know where to put them, and so I called them up, and they're like, "Oh yeah, no, we brought them out an hour ago. We put them in the big shoe outside of the reception," and so. Yeah, we went outside to like look for that big shoe. Like, what are you talking about? And yeah, there was like a big yellow like wooden sculpture of a shoe, like a Dutch what do you call them? A Dutch clog. Like big enough that like a child could sleep in it, type of size. But yeah, this is this like wooden sculpture, and we look into the shoe, and like, yeah, what do we find? Well, we find 6 pizzas, and so yeah, they were absolutely left there. The idea was that no one would find them, which was true, including us, apparently. But then we got our 11 p.m. cold pizza. It was very nice.
Better late than never. I think that seems like a motto of Simon Nielsen, probably.
Absolutely. And then, like, come Friday when Julien Henry arrived, it was it got a lot better because he managed to get a rental car, and then we could actually go grocery shopping and stock up the houses with a bunch of delicious meals, and that was all very nice.
Yeah, the house was overall pretty good. I mean, Amsterdam was just logistically very difficult. I don't think we've ever had such logistical difficulty anywhere else. I guess maybe Japan. Like in general, like some of the Japanese cities in Amsterdam pose like significant challenges in terms of hosting like large groups like ours. But yeah, I mean, it worked out reasonably well in the end. I definitely thought it was going to be a lot worse than it ended up being. So that was nice. Did we have any stories from?
Very good. No, I mean, you could just like wind up the testing process, I think, by saying that we ended up like splitting on decks. Like basically on Monday, Javier discovered that the Jeskai deck was like, actual like very good against Naruto and like was promising to work on. But then also that it like didn't like lose to Necro or energy like we thought it would. And so we ended up having like a contingent who would be like the flavor playtesters working with Javier. And then a lot of the rest of us were like busy working on Naruto. And that kind of like ended up splitting the team a bit. So we had 4 Jeskai players, including you two. And then we had 9 Naruto players, including me. And yeah, then Thursday we head on to the tournament. So that's basically what we try and do is that like we stay in an Airbnb for like the week leading up to the tournament, and that can be like somewhat remote from the actual tournament location. And then on Thursdays, that's when we disperse and go into hotel rooms like close to the site, because that way it's like much more convenient to get there to the actual tournament. But hotel rooms aren't like yeah exactly, better sleep too. And hotel rooms aren't very convenient for playtesting, so that's why we like split this up. And yeah, like we move into the city. The bugs like I get to flee from the evil mosquitoes that are about to like kill me probably. I don't know. And we get to like this the player party that is like every Thursday evening. There's this big banquet of sorts. Where all the invited Pro Tour players that get to meet up at the site, where there'll be like a dinner prepared and like a bunch of like free stuff, and we get our like bags with all sorts of nice things. We get to take a team photo, etc. And yeah, this was very nice this time. There was like it was an outside area where there was a barbecue. So we just had like burgers and like some very nice salads.
It was good, actually.
It was really nice. You could like go buy a beer as well.
The Europe ones are just so much better. The player parties in the European PTs are like clearly a cut above all of the rest, right? Like Barcelona was great.
Well, the Barcelona one was actually sick.
That one was kind of crazy.
It was like actual, yeah,
that felt like almost like fine dining.
Yeah, that was like fancy.
No, the Barcelona one was actually fine dining. Yeah, like fine jamon and such.
Yeah. I mean, that was just. I mean, like it's fancy when you're not really sure what something is. Like, I was like about to eat something, and Tangrams was like, Is that ice cream? And then like I tasted it and I'm like, no, it is fish. But that's how you know it's fancy. You're just like, what even is that? I don't know. But yeah, it was really nice. The player party is always a great vibe, especially because you just get to see so many people. But I mean, like obviously you have like friends and stuff that you don't see other than at these events. But you also even just acquaintances, just some guy that you just run into 7 times now or whatever. It's cool, right? That you get to meet up with all those guys again. And the play party is always great. Yeah, it's very relaxed. We had a lot of very successful team photos. um,
It's
well, we had
it's also
the
yeah.
go on.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it was cool because we forgot to mention that there was a documentary crew filming throughout a bunch of this. Like they came and visited us at the testing house, which was really interesting. They asked us some really interesting questions and have a really interesting project going. But they were at the player party as well and kind enough to help us take various team photos. And the photos are hilarious. I mean, some of them were meant to be silly, some of them were not meant to be silly, but I still got some amazing headshots out of some of those. One of them of Javier, I asked him to pay me $100 or I would release it. So, got some good ones there. You know how hard it is to get 17 people to all have their eyes open at once in one picture? Apparently, it's really difficult. Really, really difficult. It's something like I don't know, like there were like 20 something pictures taken in total, and maybe like 5 of them everyone has their eyes open. But so yeah, the play party's.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, play party was good. Did you experience anything, Javier?
Well, a few things. I actually feel like these parties are a bit of like the calm before the storm, if that makes sense. It's like we are all there, we're chilling, but the day after, the same exact people is going to be there just competing, right? And I actually love that kind of vibes. For me, these meetings / parties are already part of the PT in a way, where we just all there because you see pretty much everyone, right? And that's good. Oh, we also had. How did the arm fight start? Because I was not aware. How did it start? You guys know?
I'm not sure, but at some point, Javier started arm wrestling Alex Friedrichsen.
No, I didn't know the start. No. I'm there and I see like Alex and Chris Hadley being like, oh, no way, and they just like start. We just put the table for them, but I don't know how who brought it up. It was not me for sure.
Oh, I don't remember. All I know is I turned up and it was happening.
Yeah, anyways, like,
no.
For those of you who haven't been following much, Javier has gotten buff. Big buff in the past, few months. And so, obviously, like, he was challenged by both Alex and Chris to do an arm wrestle in front of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is presumably I will expect Chris to beat everyone, but Alex did beat Chris, and I was not very confident, but I managed to beat Alex. So this means I'm the captain of the team now, because I have the strongest arm, and that's the only reasonable way to elect the captain in the team, I will say.
Yeah,
so.
It's by
I
force.
certainly wouldn't want to challenge that. Yeah, I wouldn't dare to.
Yeah, I mean, I was generally surprised that I managed to beat Alex. So I was looking like I was confident, but I was not. I was like, yeah, I hope he doesn't hurt me too much. But yeah,
well, I don't know.
That was
initially we thought that Jeskai would be bad against Boros Energy, and it turned out that was super not the case, right? It was very much
something similar. I was
like,
let's hope he doesn't hurt me much because he's very strong, whatever. But well,
it was nice. He didn't hurt you.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, Jeskai also. I don't know what was looking worse, my arm or Jeskai, but they both turned out to be okay.
Yeah, it worked out. Good thing you didn't have to shuffle too much the following days.
Well, yeah. I think that was Friday, and then let's move to Saturday, shall we? No,
that was
Friday.
Thursday.
Sorry, no. Okay. Well, I always mix the days up. Yeah. So Thursday is party. Friday is day one. Where I want to introduce you something because you guys should know at this point I like scales a lot. You guys know how I always ask Mengu from 3 to 10 what's the lag scale or whatever. Well, there's one other scale here, and it is I thought of this in this PT where like it's how much of a Simon thing is, right? The higher point, the higher is like something more unique to Simon because Simon has some things happen to him that are not very common. So maybe Simon.
I like the way you say there are things that happen to Simon and not things that Simon does. That's a very
No. They happen to
passive
me.
phrase.
It's not.
They happen
my
to
fault
him.
ever. I don't know what's happening. It's just.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're so mean,
I just walk
Anthony.
around, and all of a sudden, it's like the round is starting. And what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
This is even better because
yeah,
I mean, people won't be able to see
people
it.
what happened. Yeah,
But Simon's
so
Discord avatar is a spider, so this really
Yeah.
makes it. This really adds to it. Go on.
The setup here is that you must imagine that the Pro Tour tournament is like kind of a small area of a much bigger event because there's the Magic Con going on. And the way it works is that you go in the entrance. We all have gotten our badges on Thursday, which is like the Pro Tour player badges that give us access to the hall, and give us access to skip the line of people waiting. And then you go into this hall, then you get access to this hall, which it's like basically a bunch, like 3 big halls conjoined, and walk through some of the walk through all the exhibitions and vendors, and eventually make your way to the Pro Tour area, and that's when you where you're the one who are allowed to be, and you can then go sit down for your match. And obviously this is why everyone is recommended to show up fairly early. I think the draft starts at 9 and people are instructed to be there at 8:30, and I feel like that's more of a guideline than an actual rule. But anyways, I am on time this morning. I am really well on time because we don't have breakfast at our hotel, so we decide to just eat near the site, and that's always a motivator for me to get there early, right? Is that I need to get my breakfast. And we do the draft and everything's okay. I pick 1 Psychic Frog and 3-0 easily because that's what Psychic Frog does. And I end the draft by attacking with 144 powered zombie army token. 144. And that's not Simon math, that is actual math. Which was just I just put all my dice on it, and it was very nice. I actually had it all represented.
How do you make it that big?
How do you get?
Because there's the card Arna Kennerud, which is the Esper Baneslayer, which says whenever you attack with a modified creature, you double the number of counters on it. And I had a zombie army from the Mindless Conscription, which was already a 9/9 or something. So it was not very hard for it to grow very quickly. It goes from 9 to 18 and then to 36, and then you can see it doesn't take that many attacks. But of course, my opponent was playing Red Green Eldrazi, and so it just got jump blocked by spawns over and over again. And so we eventually go to time where I finally end up winning the game. But I actually realized that when time was called, I had a really interesting combat math decision in the boss stall where I think I could attack with everything, but needed to make sure that I could. And my opponent needed to do something tricky to survive, and that's also what I realized. And I think I was a game up at this point, and I think I realized what I should have done was instead of trying to end the game in turns, which is gonna take an additional at least 10 to 20 minutes. Probably not 20, but at least an additional 10 minutes to go through all this combat math. I should just passed with my giant zombie army for 3 turns and then won the game. But yeah, that's not what I did. I ended up just postponing it, a game that I was sure to win regardless. But it took a while to finish, and all of a sudden, there's this lunch break between the rounds, and it's in half an hour after the time is called. There's a half an hour lunch break, which was kind of interesting because most rounds went half an hour overtime anyway. So it wasn't really anything special, but that was basically the designated time to get lunch, and I had to, normally I try to visit a supermarket beforehand and buy a bunch of fruits and nuts, and that's basically all I'll eat throughout the day on tournament days to keep my mind clear. But I hadn't done that this time, and so I was planning to go shopping in the during the lunch break. And so at this point, I'm kind of in a hurry, but there's a supermarket across the street from the convention center. Of course, it takes a while to get there because the whole area is huge. But I do get in there and I just stuff a bunch of things in my bag and end up buying for 50 euros worth of groceries, which is kind of a lot. That's for 2 days basically of tournament munching, and carry this big plastic bag with me back to the tournament hall, and then I'm about to enter, and I see that the key hanger where we have our badge on. Well, I have my key hanger because it's tied to my bag like it always is, but the badge is missing. It just fell out of the key hanger, which I realized at this very crucial moment, which is probably 5 minutes before the round is supposed to start, and I'm outside and I'm not able to get in. And of course, I can't do the don't you know who I am, because a lot of people don't know who I am. So
I'm sure you'll fix that.
And so I had to like, go from stall to stall, talk to people, and I try to explain like, no, I do have access to this badge. I'm doing presentation on Sunday. Like there's like I should be able to get access to this somehow, and they like don't know how, and they like take me to the Black Lotus booth, which is like the I don't know, like VIP, area. Yeah. They're like, no, you can't go here. And then eventually, like, someone walks me like to the actual Pro Tour stage where I can like look Scott Larrabee in the eyes, and he like, kind of like does an eye roll, and like as he hands me over a badge, the last one they have available. I was like, yeah, okay, Simon, of course you lost your badge.
Maybe Larrabee should just start like he just needs to pack an extra one.
Yeah,
for
he
you
just give
specifically
me 2 from the get-go. Yeah.
Yeah, he should just no, he can't just give you 2 from the get-go because then you're just going to lose both. I think he has to keep one in reserve.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like when you're going with people, you always have some debts with you when you're traveling. You have to hold onto their passport for them, like that. That
I think maybe what I should do is just get the badge taped to my arm or something, and I just like sleep with it.
I don't know. I feel like
having 2 is better.
You're gonna screw it up.
Yeah, you still manage to lose.
Yeah, I just gotta lose my arm then. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but at this point, it's like 6 minutes into the round, and I see there's one like person sitting, waiting patiently who doesn't have an opponent, and it's Seth Manfield. So I'm like, bound for yet another like repeat of the finals. Except I'm like going in there, and I'm probably gonna have a game loss for being 6 minutes late. But I explained my situation to the judges, and surprisingly enough, because it's a tournament condition that I wasn't like able to get to my match on time because of the whole badge system. They downgrade the game loss, and I don't get a game loss against him, which was very convenient, and so I'm quite happy for that. Yeah. So that's yet another situation of like something like me doing something that is like at least a little bit stupid, getting kind of unlucky so I get punished for it, but then also get very lucky to not really get punished at all in the end.
So how much of a Simon thing is on the Simon scale?
Well, you're the one who made up the Simon scale, so I feel like you should decide.
No, I think Simon is the one that actually knows.
No, he's the last person who should decide. He's the least.
No, I mean Simon is an expert of Simon things, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I would say
that. I think
that.
This is like an 8 or something. Because the reason it's not like higher is that I didn't do something that stupid.
Well,
like your key hanger malfunctioning could. Shut up, Javier. Key hanger malfunctioning could technically happen to like anyone, and it just so happened to me. Okay, maybe I did something a little bit stupid because actually after my draft round, I noticed that my badge is like not in the key hanger. It fell out and it's on the floor, and I'm like, oh, that's a good thing I discovered it, and I put it back on the key hanger and not think about it anymore.
Okay, see, there was some element.
Okay,
that's a plus one.
Maybe
that's at least a plus one on Simon's scale.
Huh. Well, I mean, I actually lost my badge once too, but I didn't have to go through a whole rigmarole about it. It was.
Oh, thought you just snuck in.
No, I just.
I mean, it's probably acrobatics from the house.
I was gonna say it's probably easier for me to sneak in. It's probably because I'm less likely to be caught in someone's natural eye line. But I don't know. I just talked to the security guard, and they were like, "Okay." I don't know why you had to go through some massive quest. But...
Oh my god! Okay.
Anthony is so charismatic. Yeah, he can just.
I don't know. Just maybe they thought I was Li Shitian. I don't know.
All right, so that was Friday. Some of the things happened on Friday, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, how did your turn? So, like, I ended up going 6-2. Javier was 7-1. We talked about how we always open a bunch of rares in our draft decks, which is.
Oh my god, Javier had to talk about his draft deck. It was. Oh my god, like.
I'm actually, I forgot. I'm going to take a picture of it because I usually don't take pictures of draft decks.
This
one is, like, I mean, I'm pretty confident this is the best draft deck I've ever had in a PT, and probably the best deck I've had in any kind of tournament. Like, just like I was having cards that I would have first pick just on the sideboard. Like, I just was playing black-red with a bunch of rares, and also, like, every single card in my deck had, like, synergy with each other or whatever. It was, like, 5 Crown Ramps with the Recording Nightmare, Ophiomancer, Crabomination, and any kind of loop combo you can think of.
You forgot the Phoenix as well. They were like...
The Phoenix.
There was 5 Rams, 6 Rares. I remember that. And
yeah, it's just...
Missing.
But all the rest were good together because Phoenix also good with Nightmare.
Oh,
Like because
good.
you can just sack it, and yeah, like at some point, like it was a game where I played like 4 reds in a row and they just died. Like I was like, yeah, infinite combinations, and someone I played like Nightmare into Ophimancer into Marauder, so they had no creatures the whole game. And against an opponent, I think I went like 1 drop, 2 drop Ophimancer. They play like this ball acoustic creatures or whatever. And they're like happy about that, you know. They look with that, and I go like land Marauder, recording Nightmare, and they're like, "Come on!" Like, I think that was the finals. Yeah, I mean,
I'm kind
one
of
game
curious.
like
What was the first pick you played in your sideboard? If you
uh,
remember.
the two dimensional creatures the opponent control for 5 mana,
Oh,
which I like quite a bit. The
wow.
saga.
Okay, yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah,
That's a
that
quite
card didn't
strong
even
card.
name my deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought the card was actually good, right? No, I started the draft with the Coding Nightmare, which I think is one of the best cards to open in the whole set, honestly, as P1. Like I don't know what's better to open, but not that much. Like just like, and got past Phoenix, and I just like kept opening the nuts. Like I opened pack 3 combination, pack 2 I opened like the Soul Warden. Soul Warden, no, what's the name? The
Dinosaur?
Soul.
Yeah, Soul Trader, right?
Oh,
War
Water
Yeah,
Soul
3
Trader,
for 3
yes.
mana that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also pretty good with the Rams and the Ophimancer, I can tell you. like,
It's just,
like,
oh my gosh.
like it was all synergies, like all
Like,
for real. Like,
one of the sick things is that, like, day 2 of the previous PT, Javier's like, this is one of the best decks I've ever had at a PT. And I look at it and it's kind of crazy, but, like, Javier, like, really, like, you know, he, obviously you have to, like, open some rest to get there, but he, like, very carefully navigated his way into a completely sick black-red deck day 2 of the previous PT. But this PT, it was just, like, supremely whitelisted. Like, the deck was just, like, just completely crazy. Like, you don't even see this stuff in arena draft, right? Like, just what is
yeah,
happening?
absolutely. It was like pack 2. At the end of pack 2, it was like, oh my god, this deck is completely sick. And I go and on black red, like the deck was already sick. Like draft could end and the deck would be like incredible. And I opened combination and Ram, like, and I knew the Ram goal table. Like I was like, how is this even possible? Like I don't know, because the last PT, yeah, like last PT I think I started with a white card or something like this. Like it was different, but this time it was like, yeah, open. Like my seat had, you know, like P1 Nightmare, pack 3 combination or whatever. Like even I had drafted wrongly, I would still have a sick deck. But yeah, yeah, that was. I will definitely get a picture. I have forgot about that, but definitely the draft deck was something else. Like I never had games. Also, were like I lost a game to the Mythic Dragon, the Hellcat or whatever. But like all the other games, I were like, wow, this deck is just completely busted.
Yeah, it's not often that Javier says he really likes his deck, and even less often that you look at anyone's draft deck and you just start laughing because it was just like comedically spaced out, you know, like just. I think he put like all the Rams at the back or something. I don't really remember, but oh
Yeah,
man,
no, I think that the yeah. Usually, Anthony tells me always like, nah, you know, my draft deck is medium, and he was like, well, it's good. You know, my threshold for saying the deck is good is actually not very low. It's kind of high, I think.
yeah, but this was really blew everything out of the water.
So
No, absolutely. Yeah.
so we end up with Javier going 7-1, me going 6-2. I lose the last round to JD. Sad to not join Javier in the draft pod 1. That would have been sick. And Anthony, you managed to like barely make day 2, which was kind of also an achievement in itself, maybe given the circumstances.
Oh yeah, I guess I ended up 4-4, which was okay. Like it's not something I would complain about, especially because I only needed to day 2 basically to qualify for the first Pro Tour of next year. So that was like the minimum I needed, right? Like I needed, well, I guess technically I needed to win at least one in the next day, but that felt like it would probably happen. So I mostly saw it as needing to day 2. So if I day 2'd, I would qualify for that first PT, and if I got like 10 wins, I would qualify for the one after that as well. But yeah, I mean, obviously you try to win as many as you can. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't play. The day didn't start out great for me. I was not in the best mental space, you could say, and I just made some really horrible draft picks, and it was difficult to not let that get more to me because, for example, like I very specifically took one card over another. I took a horrible assault. I took something over a horrible assault that I just should not have done. I took a Soling Microspawn over a horrible assault. And that was just a bad pick. Like I just wasn't thinking and I just head in the clouds and took that card. And then I proceeded to lose round 1, very specifically when I drew the Microspawn. But if I draw Horrific Assault, I win on the spot. and instead I just have this stupid creature that doesn't really do anything, you know. And then the same thing happens in the next round where I also lost when by drawing like what had happened was I just made some pick without really thinking about it late in the pack. I should have taken a foul strike and took I don't know some creature expanding ooze or whatever that was nominally a better card but didn't do more for my deck. And then obviously in round two I also lose when I draw an ooze, and if I had drawn a foul strike I would be able to win that game. So it's difficult to not have that stuff like compound.
Yeah,
And
that
yeah, I was
makes
just like
sense.
generally not playing very well that day until I got paired to Carl, and then like the excitement of that actually made me get it all together again. Like I was, I actually played like well,
Yeah, it sounded
like a
like you
pro
were
tour
telling me
player
about
should
that
play.
match, and it was like super exciting, like really down to the wire. You had to play like quite well to like find a win in
It
extra
was very
turns.
difficult. Yeah, it was like really like that was like like Carl is one of the best players in the world, so like getting to play against Carl really like lit something there. Having a bunch of like very good players watching and being excited as well made me
Mm-hmm.
excited to play, and that managed I managed to like right the ship from there. Like from there, I managed to play better for the rest of
Nice.
the tournament. Like
That's
yeah,
cool. Yeah, there's definitely a
yeah,
lesson here in like playing when like your head is not really in it, whereas like it can very easily spiral. And as you say, like you notice like how your previous mistakes like impact your current situation, and like most important thing is like to just try and try your very best to like keep your head steady, and then like you might end up in a spot where like the tide can turn somehow, or
yeah,
maybe it doesn't, but you just like barely survive, and that might be okay for your tournament life as well. But in
yeah.
this
Like
case, it was nice that you did end up like playing against the teammate, which might have had a bit of a different demeanor than other matches as well, and that
yeah,
you
that one
won.
was
It's
more
going to be a
intense, I
challenge.
guess. I mean, later we'll talk about spots where playing against teammates makes things more casual, but not against Carl. And then I felt more competitive, especially because we were both playing to make day two, I guess. But yeah, I guess like when you do hit something that makes you turn it around, you kind of have to try to ride that tide, right? Like I was able to, I guess, move like having things turn around let me like have them keep uh moving upward for me. So I think that's kind of important. But if you don't get that, because I mean, it's not. I mean, if I had just not been paired to like someone as good as Carl, and I might have continued to spiral downward. But I think, try like Javier kept telling me to try to take one match at a time. Like try to erase, uh, like the feelings from the draft or whatever. I'm beating myself up because I wasn't focusing and drafted horribly, and then got punished in a very explicit way for that. You have to like try to push that stuff behind you, I suppose, which is tricky, but it's easier when you have someone like Javier to tell you to do so. So I suppose seeking that is another way you can try to have that. Perhaps the person that you speak to will not be as forceful as Javier because few people are, but um, that's another way you can try to get over that. If you punt an early round, which I think happens to a lot of people. Like some people just take a little longer to get fully into the zone or whatever. So yeah, that was my day one. Obviously not as good, but uh, manageable, I suppose. Possible. P's get degrees. Do you guys say that? C's get degrees,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, like what do we use a degree for, like to make honey, or like what's the deal? But
P. We
anyways,
use P
uh,
for past. So
oh, P for pass. I thought you said bees.
no. What? Well, no. B's don't get. I
Bzzz.
mean, B's do. Oh,
Anyways,
oh.
moving on to day
Beat gets
two.
degrees.
So, so we have a yeah. So on day two here, we're rolling in. Javier's doing well. I'm almost late again because I managed to get there because I forget my badge in the hotel room, which is I ended up like going there by myself because I'm like taking a long shower and I just like don't want anyone else to wait for me, which is always a mistake. Like I keep doing that and then like I'm being even slower because like no one's hurrying me. And I'm about to like walk to the metro and it's like gotta be kind of dicey whether or not I make it on time. And I realized that my badge is gone, and so I have to run back to the hotel and I actually encounter Carl in an Uber on the way back, and he's like the only person in the Uber. But he like just stops the car, like yells out the window, "Hey Simon, do you want to ride with us?" And I get them to wait for me, go up, get my badge, and we arrive in like a totally fine time, 10 minutes before the draft, which was I think very very lucky. I was about to like order my own Uber, but it could have taken quite a while to get there, and who knows what.
Yeah, they often did. Yeah. All right, what's that on the Simon
How
scale?
much of a Simon scale? That's what I was also wanted to ask.
I think that's like pretty high up. Yeah, it's like
I think it has to
okay.
be
So the
higher
thing is
than
that like at 10 has to be like the Vikings story, right?
Yeah.
It's like it has to be like supremely stupid and also supremely ridiculous that I managed to get out of the situation.
Yeah,
but
it has
this
to be
was
stupid,
like
but
I
also
don't
not
know.
get punished.
This was like a solid 7, I would say.
I think it has to be higher because the thing is like the other thing like you were fine despite having
maybe the
done
other thing is
something
not a
dumb.
9. Then,
This is that you specifically got rewarded for doing something dumb. So I think it has
true.
to be 9.
Okay, it's a 9. It's always a 9
Yeah, I
on the
think it's a
Simon
9.
scale.
You're very good at being Simon, though. You're actually solidly
thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
so
he's
happy
better
to
than
say
Solomon.
that.
I honestly think Simon might be one of the best people in the world at being Simon. That's I know it's
That
high
would make
praise,
sense.
but
That would
it's
make
really what I
sense.
think.
It is high praise, but it's probably accurate also.
Thank you, guys.
All right, continue with your date.
Anyways, yeah,
Let's continue.
like I sit down for my draft. I start out on a horrific like blue-white energy deck with like where I end up picking 5 lands, and so it just looks like very, shallow and like not very enticing. And I look through my picks, like after the first pack, and I have like Jesse Hampton in my head, who's like our draft master on Team Handshake, and he's like, blue-white is a bad archetype, you shouldn't draft it. And I just look at these picks and I'm like, yeah, I gotta get out of this. And so in pack 2, I open a Path of Annihilation, the green uncommon that like works very well with Eldrazi, and I just pick that and just pray that I can get into green at this point. And I could, and my deck ends up being very good. I get 2 Chrysalis, 2 Path of Annihilation. Like, my deck is obviously not ideal because it's missing almost a full pack. I'm splashing some of my white removal spells from pack 1 and like playing a couple of the blue cards. But yeah, it's really I was really proud of like how I navigated that. Like, not how I navigated it in the beginning, but just like recognizing before it's too late that I needed to stop this from being a train wreck and take a gamble. And then I end up 2-1ing my draft, and I'm on my way to Constructed. How did your draft go, Javier?
I actually opened Nadu, so I didn't play Nadu in Constructed, but I was like, yeah, I mean...
Right, you ended
I
up
just keep
drafting
opening good
mono
cards.
white splash Naru, right?
Yeah, I had 5 banned lands. I think I actually had a fairly good deck. I went 1-2 though, but I had one of the situations where against an opponent with 2 cards in hand, I lost to like removal into threaten to die exactly or something like this. Like, it was, I also could have played better. I think I got a bit of outplayed against Ili Cassis on round 1.
Oh yeah, people tend to
Like,
get outplayed.
he plays well. Like, yeah, I mean, like, obviously I'm used to play against very good players, but I don't get this like feeling that I actually got outplayed like that big time, like yeah. So that was my start of the day, but other than that, I mean, I went 2, which still put me in X3. So it sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you get a bit lucky in the games. I think I got actually lucky in the draft as well, but the games, like I think I kept like 2 cards. I only kept 7 card hands like once or twice, but that's fine.
Yeah, my
What
deck
about you,
was
Anthony?
kind of broken. Like, I got really excited because like I didn't want to like mess up the draft like I had the previous day, so I had not quite as extreme a situation as Simon, but I think I was trying to draft some other color. I think I was trying to draft like green, white, or black, white in pack 1 based on my picks, but decided that red, white seemed more open, and switched colors in pack 2 when I opened Scurry of Gremlins and Metastatic Evangel, which are both good cards, right? And I decided to take the Scurry, and ended up somehow getting also a 6th pick Evangel, and then seeing the first Evangel that I had seen wheel, which is crazy, right? Like, just in general in draft, when you agonize over picking between 1 or 2 cards, and then the other one wheels anyway, it's like such a ridiculous feeling. Like, you feel like you got away with something somehow.
Yeah. Oh, then you wasted your time thinking about it.
Yeah, but also like my red-white deck was so crazy. Like, I ended up getting a literal 14th pick Conduit Goblin. Like, they're like past the last card, and then you like normally you pick up like the stupid Sapphire Medallion or something that you absolutely cannot play. I picked it and I look at it and it's gold and it's a conduit goblin. I was like, what? You know, that's something. So my deck ended up being really, really strong. Like I was very happy with how I navigated the draft, and that made me feel a lot more confident about the rest of the tournament as well.
Did you 3-0?
I think I 2-1. Yeah. I don't remember how I lost exactly. Oh, I think my deck just. Oh no, I lost to Carl in the finals of that draft, where we both
Carl again.
knew. Yeah, we both. I mean, I got paired to teammates 4 times in this tournament. It was kind of rough, but I knew that I was going to lose to Carl, and Carl knew that he was going to beat me because I had a completely broken red-white deck, but he had a completely broken green-black deck, and the matchup was. I think it's not as good for red-white, but his particular black-green cards just lined up incredibly well against me. Like he had multiple rares as well, including Toxic Deluge, which was just way too hard for me to beat. So yeah, we kind of guessed that was what was going to happen. Like Carl literally told me that we were both going to. He's going to throw and I'm going to 2-0 losing to him, which is what happens. So yeah,
nice.
Classic Carl.
So Javier, what happened in your constructed rounds? Is there anything? Anything interesting?
Well,
surely
something happened. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people are probably aware of what happened. Are you guys aware of what happened?
Did you get scammed?
You get scammed?
Get it? Get it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I played against Vard on round. I think it's 12. I don't remember the round.
Yeah, Vard Bandit.
Yeah. And something happened. Like there was like this somewhat convoluted situation. I mean, not convoluted. Like how do you explain? Like I played a Flage against a 2/3 Goyf without instant spells in the graveyard, and he played another After All that will have pumped the. Well, that did pump the Goyf, but we didn't realize, or I didn't realize, and so the Goyf died, and it should not die, and it came back with a roll, a +1/+1 roll, that actually ended like making the Goyf 6/7, which is much bigger than a 6/6 if you do the combat math, and made me lose that game. And there was an investigation.
Quite a long one.
About it was a long one. They definitely asked me a lot of questions, and they were also like taking a long time of that. And yeah, that was quite a moment. It is not the first time I have trouble with like someone presumably cheating in a PT, because I had one experience in 2016, I think.
Ixalan, right? PT Ixalan?
Ixalan, yeah. Where I had an opponent being DQ'd for drawing extra cards, and turned out he did that multiple times before that tournament. So, and this time, well, this person also had been banned for cheating before. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That part?
I don't know if Bart was banned, but I do know he was disqualified for having stacked his deck, right?
Qualified with a bid or whatever. He came through the internet.
There's like a Belgic tournament series where Bart is not allowed to compete in, because it was at one of those events that he did it. But so
there's a person that has banned, I don't remember if he has banned or not, but he has a person that has been seen cheating before, right? Like I said this because it's a different thing for me. Like cheating is a fight by intention, right? And you can probably not be very sure about someone's intention in many situations, but there are situations where you can be sure. Like I call those like they're 100%ers, right? Like you can miss any amount of triggers by accident. Like a trigger or like this situation obviously looks bad for him because this roll actually wins the game, but it's a situation that it can happen to any player, right? Even though it looks bad or good, it doesn't matter how look good or bad it looks. It can be an accident.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you missed it, right? So that kind of like proves.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's easier to miss it from the other side though. But even if I was playing the Goyf, I could miss it. Like it can happen. Like even things like playing 2 lands or whatever. Like because also this happened in day 1 as well. Like JD accidentally played the second land or whatever. Like these things just happen.
At that point, it didn't
humans
matter,
play Magic.
But yeah, that was.
Well, still, but even if it mattered, even if he had won the game.
Right, yeah. It could
like,
not matter and be intentional, and it would still be cheating. Yeah.
Yeah, but also it could matter and win the game and still be non-intentional, right? Like cool, because he might just be tunnel vision into I need to cast the spells, an accidental plays 2 lands because he's not thinking about the land drops and just wins the game because of that. Like that's this process happens sometimes. Like that's but what it's never an accident is stacking your deck, right? There are things like that. Like like you cannot argue you have accidentally stacked your deck, right? I think that's something we can agree on. Yeah, that's 100%. Like there's no
So what we're saying is that there are degrees to cheating, right? And I think stacking your deck involves a degree of premeditation, which shows extremely clear and completely formed intent, which is what differentiates a cheater like Bart from someone else who's been disqualified for cheating in another way. So, for example, I don't know, Ken Yukihiro once lied to a judge, or he hid that he had drawn a sideboard card or whatever when the sideboard card was completely useless. Like, that feels very different to someone having planned beforehand to cheat in the way that Bart had. So I think that's kind of what we're getting at here, right? There are grades to these things. They're all cheating, but there are still different degrees to which someone can cheat. And yeah, Bart basically went in at the maximum.
Yeah, exactly. And like if this had happened against other players or whatever, the experience would be different. And also but like wow, it felt really bad. This is something we have not talked about around here. It's also like something that doesn't really get talked that much. Like we sometimes talk about cheaters in the internet or whatever, like people does, but like the feeling where someone cheats against you in a tournament that you put so much effort on, it's like it's awful. Like it goes beyond being angry, which I was. I'm pretty sure it was like red face angry once I realized what has happened. But it's more like you feel stolen in a way where like not only they're stealing you like equity, money, equity, or whatever, but it's more like they're stealing you part of your passion or your time or your dreams or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's it's like stealing something that goes very deep, and that is awful. Like I had a lot of like mixed feelings about cheating and all these situations while this happened. Like I don't know how much time was it while I was waiting between the rounds.
It was like half an hour.
It was 20 minutes.
Time,
yeah, but half an hour, but it felt like hours. Like that felt very long because I went through a lot of different very intense emotions. Like I was like, made me reconsider a bit of the scope of what I feel about these kind of situations, like especially cheating and people coming back and the such. Like I think what I went through here, I mean, I accidentally, like, I think the judges decided what they decided, and they killed this opponent and reverted the result, which honestly is like the best possible outcome for me, of course. Like, it turns
that was
this into a...
Because also, like, this investigation, by the way, happened not right after your match at Bart, but there had been another round, which you had won. So you were, like, supposed to be X4 and would be fighting for a win in the next round.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think they started, though, right away. I'm not very sure. I was not, obviously, very aware of the details, but I don't know exactly how it went, but definitely, like, let's say the outcome was good. But, like, when they said was like, wow, that's incredibly lucky, whatever. But, like, it still does not change how I felt, if you know what I mean.
Like, yeah, that makes sense. It still feels bad, even though Bart got punished and you got, like, your losses reversed. Because
the whole, because, I mean, then again, I have not talked that much about it, but I am someone that actually kind of believes in second chances and the such. Like I think people have right to change or whatever, but like also the risk of having people feel that bad playing in a PT or whatever is definitely like I will not blame if someone just happens. Like if I'm another person and they get cheated like this and they just decide to quit competitive Magic forever or whatever, like it just, I will not be surprised. I will not blame them or anything. It's like, it just feels awful because you have to spend and sacrifice so much to play at that level. Like spend time, and just like just there, so you can be like stolen like that. It's just like the things that go through your mind, like just like, why is this happening, right? Like why? Like I think it's a very delicate matter because obviously if a person does something, they have the kind of like, it's good that they have a way to, redeem themselves or whatever. but I think there are also lines that maybe, like, I guess that the way I want to the way I see it is like, if some players do something that is like bad enough in terms of cheating, how big the trade-off is compared to having actual honest people just being stolen of their dreams or whatever. Like, imagine you playing for your first PTD run or whatever, and you get cheated like that. How what's the trade-off of that? I went through a lot. That was definitely, I mean, I was very angry. Anthony came clutch and gave me some words of advice. Thank you, Anthony. Lee.
I love how you two support each other through like the mental difficult aspects.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that, but you're actually right. That's true. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it was funny because I expected Anthony to calm me, and he goes like, "Yeah, it's okay to be." Tell him.
Oh, it's okay to be angry.
Yeah, he was like, "It's okay to be angry. You should. I don't know. If you need to smash something, you just smash something. Like, it's okay to be angry." Like, he was like, I was like, "Wow, I definitely did not expect that." I was like so surprised. Like,
I don't know. I think
it actually.
I don't know. It just seems silly to me to try to deny being angry. I think it's better to embrace it, just fully get in touch with your feelings there. So I told Javier to just. I think. I don't remember exactly what happened. I know he broke a pen and then he's apologized. And I said, no, you should do more. You should break more things. And he did. He did break more things.
No, I did not, actually.
You did. You broke a bottle.
I mean, bottles are... But yeah, I was very, very angry. But not like... So that's the thing. I was not angry at him. I was angry at the situation. If that makes sense. Like, I was angry about like, well, this happened... and I'm mad, but I like, maybe I was so angry because I actually exactly like didn't have a target. Like, I was like, why is this happening? Like, why is this sort of like allowed? But also I understand why is it allowed. So I had this like inner contradiction. But it made me realize maybe I never thought of like what could because. If this was not caught in camera, we'll have noticed, right? So I also got lucky, not only on the outcome, but I also got lucky that the situation got caught, right? So it was like, yeah, I'm supposed to be happy because that got caught. I mean, before like the outcome, right? But also like just so mad. Like, I guess what I want to say here is that it feels very awful.
Ever that like when you're wrong, that you're supposed to be happy regardless of like the outcome. Like, if everything went as it should have, you would have just won the game. It would have been a normal round. You would have gone on with your life. Like, that's like, you basically, what happened was like a restoration to the status quo. Well, plus Bart being DQ'd instead of just getting a loss. And like, I feel like that's, you can still have that happen and at least be like, like, it maybe like your anger is not as bad as it could have been in the case where like you're not only being wronged by a person but also by the system. Where like it would be more angry, but I think like it's still very reasonable to still feel that anger, because like nothing, no matter like what the repercussions are, it doesn't take away from the fact that like someone like willingly and knowingly, took advantage of you.
Yeah, that makes sense actually. And what I am right now is like, I do think people that actually cheat, it's fine for them to have like a second chance or whatever. But at this point, I am not that sure that I believe that certain type of cheats should be allowed to go back to the PT or whatever. Like, I think maybe we could live in a world where we have a distinction between, playing Magic and playing Magic in the Pro Tour or whatever. Like, it's just like, but also this is the spots where people can get caught easier because the judges are better. There are more judges. They are better equipped to actually do things, right? So I don't know. Like, I definitely do not have like any specific thoughts on what should be done because it's also not my my place to decide that. But I definitely think I like, if I ever play into someone that has cheated like that before, I know I'm gonna feel like, well, that's awkward. And because we've seen players like we've seen players and even teammates have situations like this before, right? And I realized like I was not actually very able to put myself in their shoes, and now I think I can. So I'm trying to word that as accurately as I possibly can. But like it just makes you feel like sort of defenseless in a way, you know, like you're working so much for a thing just to play there, and you know, like you're actually you're just doing the thing you like the most, right? And just you're put in a position where you're like having this situation. I'm talking definitely against like I'm talking about players that have done these 100%ers, you know, premeditated cheats or whatever. I'm not talking about like that's a whole different story, right? Because there's always like, what if it was an accident or whatever? This if there's not possible like that, I don't know. Yeah, I just definitely. I mean, as you can see, I have sort of structured my thoughts, but it's still a bit blurry. But I think I wanted to verbalize a bit because I think it's good to our listeners to actually also, because maybe what I told you here gives you a bit of a different scope to, you know, what initial thoughts on cheating is, especially cheating and also like second opportunities and the such, because let's not forget we're, you know, people, and you know, people do stupid shit for different reasons or whatever. Like I'm not being like, you know, if someone ever does something wrong, they should never ever be allowed to, you know, change or get back on track. I do believe in those opportunities, but man, this was rough.
Yeah, I like feel like I'm in a similar spot as you, Javier, in that like I've definitely like believed in that before. I still think I do, but like you're bringing up this perspective is also giving me second thoughts. And also, like, there's the whole argument that, like, playing Magic is not a right, anyway. And so, like, it's...
No, definitely not. Yeah, but, I mean, the
you can still, you know, get better as a person and just, you know, do something else with your life than play Magic. And
no, absolutely. But yeah, but also the thing, like, playing Magic maybe doesn't need playing in professional events, right? Like...
Yeah, that's another thing, right? Where you can just say, well, you're banned from playing Pro Tours, but you can play other things, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that could be an actual solution to, you know, I don't know. Yeah,
I think we're kind of getting towards like some kind of policy idea. Like just listening to you, like we can distinguish. And I think it would perhaps be useful to try to distinguish between those forms of cheating. Like I think, you know, currently by the rules, all cheating is cheating, and there's some use to that. But differentiating dexterity related cheating, I think that might be the distinction in particular that really demonstrates a higher degree of intent and willingness to kind of violate the social contract which we all engage in when we decide to play this game. I think might be useful. So there is both that in policy terms we can differentiate the offense as well as the penalty, which is currently that we just have banned from Magic and banned from the Pro Tour. So I don't know. I mean, obviously we're not going to fully create some kind of policy proposition here, but I think these are definitely very interesting ideas, right? And we're actually getting somewhere here that we can define different degrees of cheating and we can define different degrees of punishment than are currently applied. And, you know, that we're just making them more complex. Like there's more grades to this than the current. There should be more grades to it than there currently are. I think maybe that's something we can look at afterward and try to see if we can figure out something there. But no, I mean that's very helpful perspective. And I don't know. I kind of want to see if there is some better solution than what we have now. Something practical, you know. It's interesting. Yeah,
maybe, you know, let's hope.
Yeah,
all right, let's just enough for that. But yeah, that was definitely like part of, you know, an intense part of the weekend for my
like an intense part of the weekend.
Like it also like did it so happen that like did you have to play another round after this, or were you just straight into the
I had to play a win and in. No, I had to play a win and in, but I got paired against Living End, which I had not played before. But my teammates that played said it was like just unlosable or whatever. I almost managed to lose, but definitely like the best matchup in the whole field probably. I will say, because I was playing like you know, only counters plus and hate cards. It
was like it was Slacks and I who played it.
Hate cards. Yeah,
it was like the matchup is actually just comically horrible. I mean, it's not comic. It's, all right, maybe that's an overstatement, but it was actually funny watching how dejected Slacks was getting playing from the Living End side because it was rough. Yeah, like they just can't play short games and they can't play long games. So it's
pretty much, yeah. I played against Sadek, which is the Living End expert. He was like, yeah, this matchup's so bad. And I was like, I mean, yeah, but if someone can beat me, it's probably you. And he actually beat me game one. I think I'm mulligan to 5, and he actually, you know, it was not that far. If I mana flood a bit more in game 3, I might have still lost. But yeah, I just threw spells and, you know, magistrates just doing the magistrate thing. And yeah. It was like I was supporting. It was like, wow, like all my like this, like all my decks just like counter spells and bombs. Like it's just like there's nothing else. Polarities or whatever rings. Yeah, no, definitely. So I was a lucky break, definitely. I mean, I was not in my best headspace, but not even if I had, like even if I had ended well for me, my head I was like suddenly like super tight because I went through so many emotions that I was like, yeah, it's it's good that this. Yeah, this is. I was like, yeah, it's good. I don't have to play another round, or like this round is going to be rather easy to play, or whatever. So that was good. Yeah. And I made. How are you?
I lost to Sam Pardee in round 13, and then I had to win the next 3 in a row to make it to top 8 because I was at X4 at that point. But yeah, then I just rattled off 3 straight wins. I played against Jeskai Control as well, against Mitchell Tamplin, round 14, which was nice. I hadn't actually play tested the matchup very much in the house, so I was very nervous about it. But yeah, my my teammate Julian, he said, he just like, when I asked for advice in the Discord, like, can you like write a guide? He was just like, played like a cat on the prowl. Like, okay, well, I guess that's what I have to do. Then I just drew the complete nuts and just had like 2 Shukos and like forced through a Nadu, and he just did, and he like I had like a halfling to force through the Nadu, and he couldn't answer anything, and he died. And so I think he died
Nice.
3, I think. Yeah. So much for being a cat on the prowl. It was more like a tiger on a rampage. And yeah, I don't even remember like off the top of my head now who. I played against Kenyu Hero in the win and in. That was also very exciting. That was like such a cool match as well. I'm so sad that it's not on coverage. They only show the clip like to the match, which was at the least interesting point, which is that after I've started to go off in game 3, fizzle, but just set up with a Sylvan Safekeeper that I can't possibly lose and that I will win next turn. That's when they cut in. Like. So, like, basically it's just Ken tanking, trying to, like, kill my Nado, I give it protection, and then he scoops. Like, that's that's what we get to see. But the match was really cool. Like, game 1, I bestowed Antuku on his Guide of Souls to protect it from Orcus Bowmaster, and his reaction is like, what? +1/+1? And then, yeah, you can get the +1/+1. I think maybe I mentioned this already last podcast, I feel like. And then, like, I barely ended up, like, taking that game, but because my Nantuko was safe from his Bowmaster, and in
Nice.
in game two was very, very crazy, because we end up in a spot where I'm at 1 life, I have a ring in play with 2 counters on it, and I have a pact trigger. And I have to somehow figure out how to not die. It's these 2 things that are gonna kill me in my upkeep. I can pay for the pact, of course, but if I do that, I will die to my ring. So what I have to do is activate my ring in response, draw a Boseiju so I can kill his static prison that has Outrider under it. And which I do hit that, so I can try to go off in my own upkeep in response to 2 lethal things that will kill me. And I need to find a Haywire. I need to find 2 Haywire Mites so that I can kill, like, so that I can gain enough life, because now the ring is gonna deal me 3 damage. So I need to like gain 4 life in my own upkeep, and then also still have 4 remaining lands so I can pay for the pact. And I bought it out of Haywire Mite, so the only way I can do this is through shifting woodlands, copying the other. It was like, it was really such a mess, and I ended up like at some point just like giving up. I just like couldn't figure out how to like get there. But yeah, I think about it afterwards. I think maybe I even had a line to get there, but it was like, I think I spent like, I don't know, like 10-15 minutes on that upkeep. It was quite intense. And then we get to game 3, which is a lot easier for me, luckily, and I managed to sneak out a win.
Yeesh. That sounds wild. Gosh.
Yeah, if I'd won that game too, that would have been cool, because that would have then also been the game they show on coverage, and it would have been so sweet. But yeah, and I would have looked like the most gigabrain person in the world, where in reality I just like just like desperately had to go for something and get lucky. But anyways, yeah, then I get to join Javier for the top 8, and that's very nice.
Yeah, we top it again together.
Yeah. Back to back, almost.
Well, that's you, me not. I'm more like 10 or 9.
Oh, that's true. Well, your run has been, impeccable, and you're probably the best player in the world right now. But I wouldn't tell you that.
No, I think
just go to your head.
run. Yeah, your run is better, so you're probably the best player in the world. But also,
no, I'm just no. It's just
that's fine. Let's move on.
Okay,
whatever. We played top 8 where Simon just beats me easily and soundly.
Yep, nothing to talk about there.
We
It's just a classic
we
Jeskai versus Naruto.
we managed. Yeah, we managed to mess up both.
So many things, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah,
With
it's
the
like
sunglasses
getting into
thing.
this headspace where we're just joking around, which I've like tried to reflect on like since then. It's like, should I like tone that down when I'm?
No, it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
It was
The same
fun.
way
It was so fun.
So the two matches we played lately, this one and the settled one,
Yeah,
easily among my favorite matches. So
Absolutely.
do not change. I love them. I lost one and win one. That's fine. It's a pleasure playing with you, and I love to play like that. We're trying to play well, but also have a good time and
but it was. I
Yeah.
think it was like kind of like painful to watch from the outside. So yeah, I think things that happened.
I mean-
the first two games I think were like went kind of like fine. I think that was my plan going in. Like basically my experience with the matchup is, as I said, I've like play tested it like twice in the house, and then I played against Mitchell Tamplin on Saturday, which was a different list, of course. And then I play tested twice against your specific list on Friday evening, or on Saturday evening, like in the hotel room with Ginky, who like fell asleep like doing the match, and I still lost every game. It's
Yeah.
I
No, it
wasn't
was
feeling
bad,
particularly
but
great. And my
Yeah, I
plan was to
think-
at least like try and sneak one of the game ones so that I could like reasonably try and win 2 out of 3 post-board games. And then that didn't happen. I thought, because you missed your 4th land drop in both of those games, and so I thought, maybe I have a chance
exactly.
here, but yeah, no, that did
Also
not.
game 3 though. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
game
I didn't
three,
well,
Javier
just
found a
very
fourth hand
good.
even cooks. I think yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
true.
that's fine.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah, wait, I saw it on coverage, and your hand is just full of like rings, etc.
Four
Yeah, I
drops.
definitely like.
Yeah,
he had
just-
Supreme Verdict
I just-
also, and no fourth hand.
Verdict and ring and draw like ring verdict or something.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I
that
don't know,
makes
but
sense.
overall,
I felt like I was so confused whenever like I would win a game, and you would like pack up your cards, and I was like, wait, how did I win? What happened? And like, because I just like have a bristly build on a board, but I'm not, doing any of the Naruto things, and like somehow like you just, like didn't have answers even though you had so much. Was that also the game where you pitched the Supreme Verdict to pay for a counterspell? And I'm
I
like
think so.
so confused because I have a Sun Cleanse in
Yeah.
play, and like Supreme Verdict is your only out, and I just like don't know if you're like trying to mess with me or like if you had the second verdict, and so I think I ended up like playing around the second verdict. But yeah, that was a wild game 3, and then at game 4, that's when I keep a one lander. Because it has the light
Yeah.
pathling and a bunch of like good
Yeah.
mid-range like attacking tools, but no Shuko, no Naruto, like no combo stuff at all. And I just like ripped 2 fetch lands in a row, and that was
GG.
GG.
Yeah.
And then that was also the thing that we should probably address with the Sun Cleanser, where a lot of people like think it was a missed trigger situation because it's when you see it on stream, it looks like Javier doesn't announce his trigger, but you always announce your triggers, and it also you can actually see you like tap your ring at some point, like doing that turn. A lot of things happen because there's like a fetch and an endurance in response to the ring. But it's like very clearly announced. But what happens is that I hadn't made the mental connection that Sun Cleanser doesn't work against the One Ring, because I haven't played the matchup very much before, and it just hasn't come up. And so it's one of those things where like if you ask me like before, during, or after the game, how Sun Cleanser and the ring interacts, I'll be able to answer it correctly, because then I'm like thinking about it actively. But in this spot, I wasn't thinking about it at all, because I knew, like you played the ring, and I'm like, okay, so I need to play endurance in response, and then on my turn, if I draw a land, I can go, hey, why am I plus Sun Cleanser you? And that's like, in my mind, it just like comes out as a completely like fine play. And it just so happens like, yeah, like everything happens to like, hey, why am I on your ring? I play my Sun Cleanser, and because it happens a bit later, like I think in the like between games or something, that you ask me, wait, did you Sun Cleanser me through the ring? And I'm like, I don't think so, because I don't remember that there was a ring and a Sun Cleanser in play at the same time.
Yeah, because it came to my mind later. It was like, didn't you do that? Yeah, and you're like, nah.
Yeah, because I was obviously like sure that I wouldn't have done that, but yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Then like, when Mani comes up to me and tells me like after the match, and I'm like, oh my god, holy shit, yeah, you're right. Definitely like, I mean, I'll say like that definitely made me feel bad. And it's like one of those things where like it's really hard to do anything to retroactively correct it. And the thing is that like if you watch the game, it's like if I had like been aware of that interaction, I could have just played my own ring on that turn instead. It would have been a completely different game. It's really hard to say who would win. But yeah, because I wasn't aware, and because you're and because you didn't catch it, I assume you were aware, but I'm not actually sure.
Of the ring sun
Yeah,
cleanser.
well,
Yeah.
no, like,
But since
how they
the ring
interacted.
died, I forgot about that. No,
Yeah,
I
that
mean, I
makes
told
sense.
you. For game 5, I told you like, wait, didn't you just do that? But
Yeah.
because the ring was not in the battlefield, I just like didn't think of that.
Yeah, so that's really unfortunate because like what probably would have happened most of the time there is that I play my sun cleanser and someone like
Yeah.
you or the judge says like, yeah, that doesn't happen. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
I guess I lose on
Yeah.
the spot immediately. So
yeah,
it would have
pretty
been,
much.
yeah, it was like a very dumb play that just happened to like like get rewarded as well.
Yeah, the way I say it's we both messed up,
Yeah.
and it randomly went through your way. But it could also be we both messed up. And it
Yeah, I
goes
mean, a bit
your
later,
way,
I
like,
missed
you
my
know.
draw step. And then, like, one of the...
Yeah.
it was actually Mate Sadakai, who was, like, doing
Yeah.
hands, who, like, stops, like, catches that and, like, informs the judge. But they could have also, very easily, I could have just, like, played the rest of that game with one less card because I forgot my draw step.
Yeah, I mean, we just messed up about, but like, the game was also a bit like messy, I think, at that stage.
Yeah, absolutely. There was also the endurance thing where, which was pretty funny, where endurance you put the cards on bottom, then you place your deck, like not where your deck usually is, but like kind of like in the exact middle of the table. And so my brain, because other stuff has happened in between, I'm like, oh, Javier just fetched. I need to shuffle his library. And so I pick up your deck, and then you're like, no, Simon. And at this point, I have like the bottom half of the deck is. The corners are like wedged in between the top half of the deck, but they're still two separate entities. It's just the corners are like touching, and so I can like squeeze them out and restore the deck to its normal state. This all happens, by the way, like off camera. You can't quite see it, so it looks like I just keep shuffling, which obviously makes it even more ridiculous. But no, actually no harm was caused there, luckily. But that
because
was,
I stopped you. Yeah.
and I remember like getting off for that match, and it's like 3 games that I win where I feel like, I mean, all of the time I just like because I'm imagining like all the things you can have. And by the way, another thing I learned afterwards is that one of the things I was thinking about when I had these sun cleansers down, and like I was trying to figure out your outs, I was thinking, oh yeah, he's gonna go end of turn, dress down, untap, and then wrath.
Nope,
but that doesn't work. Yeah, I didn't realize that at all. I spent a lot of brain power trying to like. See if I should play around that or not.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, we talked about that in testing. Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony said it doesn't work. So anyway.
So I get up for that match, and it's like a bunch of games that I like don't quite understand how I win them, but I'm also having a lot of fun. And then I'm like looking around, it's like, wait, hold on, there's cameras here. Like, wait, oh my god, it was the quarterfinals. Like, I just. Like
it
during
was
the
fun.
first 2 games, I was very aware that this was the quarterfinals, and I was thinking like, yeah, okay, Javier's gonna move on. He's probably gonna win the PT. I hope he does. And then all of a sudden, things are just, I'm the one moving on, and it's a very surreal experience.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you won. Actually, like it was from my side. It was actually very similar. Like I just won 2 games, and then things went the wrong way, every draw step or whatever. It's fun. I mean, we've been there every time in Magic, right? We know.
Yeah, you definitely also got unlucky as well in those. Like it's, I got away with something there, but.
Yeah, but it's fun. Like I don't know. Like I'd rather have this in happening topic against you that like before the topic. Like it's. I think it's fine. I also sort of blunder the topic because the Sankoso thing. I could have remembered the trigger of the ring. But I understand why it happened. Like, the ring was not there. It was a bit of convoluted situation. We just both messed up. Like, it's fine. I don't know. I'm just, I walk away, not feeling particularly bad or anything.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, and it was also, from my perspective, like, the repercussions there was there was, of course, an investigation of me as well, with the head judge, where, like, he asked me some questions. And at some point during this investigation, he says, this is a very difficult decision for me to make. And I'm like, oh my god. But he just meant that, like, like in reference to that he had just made it, like, a decision yesterday as well of, like, a similar-ish spot. And then he's just mentioned that it's, like, always very difficult to, like, figure these things out. But yeah, he did believe me. And that was, I ended up getting a warning for it, as well as a warning for forgetting my draw step. So in the semifinals, if I mess up one more thing, get another GRV, I get a game loss for that. And so, that was very, very tight. Then in the finals, the judges came and said, because one of my game loss, like one of my warnings was for something positive and one of them was for something negative for me. They said that like the one for the draw step wouldn't count towards the 3, so that even if I mess up one more thing, I wouldn't get a game loss there, which I'm thankful for. And Sam also expressed that he was like thankful that, because he said that he wouldn't want a game loss to happen in the PT finals as well. So
no,
yeah,
absolutely not.
Sam was a great opponent.
Yeah, the investigation. I mean, they also asked me a bit. I was like, this is. They asked me, and I was like, yeah, these things happen. Like happen to Simon, could happen to anywhere. That's it. Like it was a very, very fast question to answer.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
It's good.
So yeah, luckily the semis and the finals went a lot cleaner, and it was like some nice magic of the play on the play winning most of the time, but. Yeah, luckily I was the play on the play in both of those. And at the very end, when Sam asks me like, do you want to go through the combo or do you just want to get the victory? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. Thank you very much.
I'll take the trophy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just like run screaming around, get the trophy. Like people like a singing birthday song to me. It's like it's all very. Yeah, it was all a lot. Like so many people like coming up to me afterwards. I think I spent an hour like signing things and taking pictures. And like at some point I realized when people ask me for pictures, I could ask them like, hey, do you want to hold the trophy? And they like their faces light up and they're like so excited. That was
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I don't think I've seen anyone hand out their PT trophy as willingly as Simon. Like I just remember. Do you remember when we went out that night? You just that trophy just went everywhere. You were just.
Oh
handing
yeah,
it to
people wanted
everybody.
to see it, etc. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, yeah, of course, I want to share the joy.
It was nice.
Of course, the joy that is represented by the trophy. Also, it happened that I was like, buying something to eat because I was like very hungry after like, first of all, again, I don't eat anything throughout the day except for fruits and nuts. And so at the end of the day, I'm like obviously very like quite hungry. And so I went to like buy like some pizza. And I walked past a table where someone that I had talked to before at a tournament, but like don't really know. He's sitting at a table with two of his friends, and he's like, "Hey Simon, do you want to be our fourth for Commander game?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I actually brought my deck." And then I just sit down with my pizza and my trophy, and I whip out my
nice.
deck, and we just.
I love this story. Take that.
Why did you
bring We just play a match of Commander.
You did not mention that it was with your own deck. I just assumed you borrowed. You didn't tell me that you brought your commander deck
I
too.
have my
Who's your commander,
deck.
Simon?
Who's
your commander?
It's about it's about putting. Well, you're trying to make a 11/11 thing with all the keywords in the world, including hexproof and indestructible and double strike that like just one shots people because it's your commander. Yeah, it's very nice. But you need to do this by getting all these keywords in your graveyard, so you play. Like quite a lot of bad cards that just have multiple keywords and some self-mill. It's very cool. Anyways, I got Blood Mooned out, and so I lost. So
GG.
That was my commander experience.
Wow,
Nice.
I did not.
I love. I think this is the perfect ending for the story.
It's very
Simon
Simon.
living and Simon playing commander.
Oh no, yeah, how Simon is that on the scale?
No, I think that's 7, 6, 6.
Yeah, it's not that high. Yeah, it's
there's no foolishness to it, but it's
even
still very
even a
Simon.
5. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's that much.
How many people do you know would just play a pickup game of Commander after winning after playing a PT, let alone winning a PT? That's just.
I would say 5% of the field.
I was thinking in Chicago that like, oh my god, there's so many people having fun enjoying Magic in other ways. I kind of want to like try and participate in that if I have time at these Magic cons, which I never do because I like have to play all these Pro Tour matches.
Well, now there's no excuse for
because you top it
now.
every time.
Yeah, exactly. So I just packed my commander deck in case I lost out of the sub 8 early. I could do other things that day. Yeah.
I love it actually. I think it's very cool. And Anthony doesn't, but I'm happy. I'm glad you did that, Simon. Maybe this can set up maybe a potential commander duel one day.
Oh, you and me?
Worlds.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe. I know.
Wow.
I'm just throwing it there.
Yeah.
I don't disapprove. I'm just stunned. Nice. I had never thought that you would do that.
Who are these people? All right. Well, thank you so much for this, for having me on this episode here. It was very nice to tell some more.
Wouldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, it was very fun. It's like just friends sitting in a table, just having a drink and talking about stories in the weekend. But we get to share it with people, so I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
What do you mean? We're not sitting. What we're like at 3 different places in the world.
Well, but that's the magic of things. It's like we're different places in the world, but it's not like. Come on, Anthony. All right. Thanks for sharing, everyone. We hope you like our Peter stories, and let us know also if you like this kind of content of the tournaments as well. Because once Simon wins Worlds, we can maybe have him again because he will win Worlds, right?
We've already started planning his card. It's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you around.
Cheers.
See ya. Hi.